And the companies building them are spending hundreds of billions of dollars to make them bigger, faster, and more powerful. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how AI data centers work. You might not think about data centers very often. Most people don't. But every time you ask an AI assistant a question, every time a recommendation appears on your screen, every time a translation happens in real time, or a medical scan is analyzed by software, there is a physical building somewhere in the world making that possible.
Right now, as you watch this video, somewhere on Earth, a room the size of a football stadium is consuming more electricity than a small city. Inside that room, tens of thousands of computers are working simultaneously, every single second of every single day, and they never stop. Not for holidays, not for maintenance, not for anything. The infrastructure powering artificial intelligence is so enormous, so power-hungry, and so precisely engineered that most engineers in Silicon Valley have never actually seen one. The machines inside cost more than a commercial airplane. The cooling systems alone are a marvel of modern engineering.
AI is not magic, it is math, and math requires hardware. The global data center industry is currently valued at well over $300 billion, and it is growing at a rate that has caught even the most seasoned infrastructure investors off guard. The demand for AI computing has created a construction boom unlike anything the technology sector has seen in decades. Companies are racing to build facilities as fast as physically possible, and the limiting factors are not money or ambition. They are land, power, and water. Understanding how these facilities work is not just a technology story.
It is a story about how the physical world is being reorganized to support a digital one. Everything starts before a single wall is built. The location of an AI data center is one of the most consequential decisions a company will make, and the criteria are surprisingly specific. First, land. These facilities need enormous footprints. A hyperscale AI data center, the kind used for training large language models, can cover the equivalent of 20 or 30 football fields under a single roof, or across a campus of interconnected buildings. That means rural areas with available land are heavily preferred over dense urban zones. Second, and most critically, power. A modern AI training cluster can consume between 100 and 500 megawatts of electricity. For reference, a mid-sized city of around 300,000 people typically consumes somewhere in that same range. These facilities are not just plugging into the local grid. In many cases, they are negotiating directly with utilities, building their own substations, and in some instances, funding the construction of entirely new power lines stretching for dozens of miles. Third, water. Cooling these machines requires enormous quantities of water in many conventional designs. Data centers in the American Southwest have faced public scrutiny for drawing millions of gallons per day from stressed water tables. This is why companies are increasingly looking at northern climates, where cold ambient air and cooler water temperatures reduce the load. And fourth, fiber connectivity. A data center without high-speed fiber connections to the broader internet is useless, so proximity to existing fiber routes or the willingness to build new ones is essential. Once the site is selected, construction begins, and this is where things get interesting. Building an AI data center is not like building an office complex. The structural requirements are extraordinary. The floors must support weights that most commercial buildings never encounter. Raised access floors are installed throughout, allowing massive bundles of power cables and data cables to run beneath the working surface without cluttering the operational space above. The ceilings are high, often reaching 12 to 15 meters to accommodate the towering rack systems inside. But before a single server goes in, the facility needs its power infrastructure. And this is one of the most complex parts of the entire operation. Power arrives from the grid at high voltage, sometimes at 115,000 volts or more. It flows through massive transformer stations on the property, which step it down to voltages the building can distribute internally. From there, it passes through switchgear, then through uninterruptible power supply systems, which are essentially enormous banks of batteries capable of keeping the entire facility running for several minutes during a grid outage. Those minutes are critical because they allow the diesel generator systems, which can fill entire buildings of their own, to spin up and take over. A major data center may have dozens of generators, each one capable of powering hundreds of homes. This redundancy is not optional. Downtime for a hyperscale AI facility can cost millions of dollars per hour. The power systems are designed to tolerate the failure of any single component without the facility ever losing power. Engineers call this N+1 redundancy, meaning there is always at least one more backup than you need.
Now, the servers arrive. And this is where the story of AI data centers diverges sharply from traditional data centers. A conventional data center hosts servers running websites, databases, and business applications. The workloads are varied and the hardware is relatively standard. An AI data center is built around one specific purpose: training and running machine learning models, and that requires a completely different class of hardware. The critical component is the graphics processing unit, or GPU.
Originally designed to render video game graphics, GPUs were discovered to be extraordinarily well suited for the kind of parallel mathematical operations that machine learning requires. A modern AI GPU, such as the ones produced by NVIDIA, contains tens of thousands of processing cores operating simultaneously. A single chip can perform more calculations per second than a room full of traditional computers from a decade ago. But one GPU is not enough. Training a large AI model requires thousands of them, all working together, communicating with each other at blistering speeds.
This is where the engineering gets genuinely remarkable. Individual GPUs are grouped onto boards called nodes. Those nodes are installed into metal frames called racks, which stand about 2 meters tall and hold dozens of servers. A single rack in an AI data center might draw 40, 50, or even 100 kilowatts of power, which is dozens of times more than a rack in a conventional facility. And a major AI training cluster might contain thousands of racks. But the real challenge is not the power. It is the communication between all of those GPUs.
When a large AI model is being trained, the workload is split across thousands of GPUs. Those GPUs need to constantly exchange information with each other, sharing gradient updates and layer calculations at speeds that would be meaningless outside of this context. The interconnect fabric, the network that links all of these GPUs together, must operate at hundreds of gigabits per second per connection, with latencies measured in microseconds. This is why specialized networking hardware has become one of the most strategically important components in the entire AI infrastructure ecosystem.
Companies are spending billions of dollars developing proprietary networking solutions specifically because the standard options are not fast enough. Some facilities use a technology called InfiniBand. Others use custom optical interconnects. The goal is always the same: make the GPUs communicate so fast that they behave almost like a single enormous processor. A common analogy used by engineers is that training an AI model across thousands of GPUs is like trying to get thousands of people to solve a single puzzle together, simultaneously, without ever talking over each other. The interconnect network is the conversation.
If it slows down, everything slows down. Most people never realize what happens next in the communication chain because it moves so fast it is effectively invisible. Now, all of this computing generates heat, enormous quantities of it, and heat is the enemy of electronics. Left unchecked, it will throttle performance, degrade components, and eventually destroy hardware entirely. In a traditional data center, cooling is handled by computer room air conditioning units that blow cold air through raised floors and up through the server racks. This works reasonably well when power densities are modest. But in an AI data center, with racks consuming 100 kilowatts or more, air simply cannot move fast enough to remove the heat. The physics do not work. Air has a limited capacity to absorb thermal energy,
And at these densities, it reaches its limit before it reaches the back of the rack. This is where liquid cooling has become absolutely essential. There are several approaches. In direct liquid cooling, cold water or a water-glycol mixture flows through tubes or cold plates that are in direct contact with the chips themselves. The liquid absorbs the heat and carries it away to a heat exchanger, where it is transferred to the building's broader cooling loop. Some facilities are experimenting with immersion cooling, where entire servers are submerged in tanks of electrically non-conductive fluid. The fluid boils at low temperatures, carrying heat away through phase change, and then condenses and cycles back down. This approach is extraordinarily efficient, but it requires custom hardware and operational procedures that most data center teams are still mastering. The cooling systems in a hyperscale AI facility are not peripheral equipment. They are central infrastructure, consuming roughly 30 to 40% of the facility's total power budget. Engineers track a metric called power usage effectiveness, comparing total facility power to the power used by the computing equipment itself. The best facilities are approaching a ratio of 1.1 or even 1.05, meaning nearly all of the electricity consumed goes directly into computation. This is the most impressive part of the entire operation, and it happens invisibly, thousands of times per second.
The software layer that sits above all of this hardware is what turns a room full of machines into an artificial intelligence factory. Workload orchestration systems constantly monitor the status of every GPU in the cluster, assigning computing tasks, tracking memory allocation, managing data pipelines, and rerouting jobs around any hardware that has failed. Because at this scale, hardware failure is not an exception, it is a scheduled daily occurrence. In a cluster containing 50,000 GPUs, statistical probability means that multiple GPUs will fail every single day. The orchestration software must detect these failures in milliseconds, checkpoint the training job that was running on the failed hardware, reroute the workload to healthy hardware, and resume training without corrupting the model's progress. This happens automatically, continuously, with no human intervention. Engineers have described managing these systems as less like operating a computer and more like managing a living organism that is constantly healing itself. The training jobs themselves run for weeks or months without stopping. A single training run for a large model might consume tens of millions of GPU hours, generating electricity bills that would exceed the annual revenue of a mid-sized company. Every minute of unnecessary downtime represents not just a financial cost, but a delay in scientific progress. Now, for the facts that put all of this into perspective, a single hyperscale AI training cluster can consume up to 500 megawatts of power at peak operation. That is equivalent to the average power consumption of approximately 400,000 American homes. The cooling water requirements for a large facility can reach several million gallons per day, comparable to the daily water needs of a town of tens of thousands of people. The NVIDIA H100 GPU, one of the most sought-after chips for AI training, costs between $25,000 and $40,000 per unit on the open market. A cluster containing 50,000 of them represents a hardware investment exceeding $1 billion before the building, the power infrastructure, or the networking equipment. The fiber optic cables connecting a hyperscale data center to the internet backbone can carry data at rates exceeding 1 terabit per second, which is fast enough to download the entire contents of a reasonably sized library in less than a minute. Some facilities have cooling towers that evaporate water continuously to remove heat, releasing visible vapor plumes visible from miles away that are sometimes mistaken for smoke. The racks in a high-density AI deployment must be bolted to the structural floor because they are heavy enough, sometimes exceeding 1,000 kilograms each when fully loaded, to shift during seismic activity.
The software that manages GPU scheduling across a large cluster can make allocation decisions affecting thousands of chips in under 1 millisecond, continuously optimizing for thermal headroom, memory bandwidth, and network congestion simultaneously. This infrastructure is not evenly distributed around the world. It is concentrated in clusters, and those clusters reflect a combination of geography, policy, and history.
The United States hosts the largest share of hyperscale AI compute, primarily in Virginia's data center corridor, known as Data Center Alley, which is the densest concentration of data center capacity on Earth, as well as in Texas, Arizona, and along the West Coast. Northern Europe, particularly Ireland and the Nordic countries, has attracted massive investment due to cool climates, renewable energy availability, and political stability. Singapore serves as a hub for Southeast Asian AI infrastructure. And China has built its own parallel ecosystem of AI data centers, largely isolated from Western supply chains. The supply chains feeding these facilities are global and extraordinarily fragile. GPU chips are designed in California and manufactured in Taiwan, primarily by TSMC. The advanced packaging needed for multi-chip GPU modules is done across Taiwan, South Korea, and increasingly Malaysia. Memory chips come from South Korea and Japan. Power conversion hardware is manufactured across the United States, Europe, and China. A disruption anywhere in this chain ripples immediately into data center construction timelines worldwide.
The competition for AI compute capacity has become so intense that companies are now signing multi-year contracts for GPU time before the hardware even exists. And some are building their own proprietary chips specifically to reduce dependence on third-party suppliers. When a model finally finishes training inside one of these facilities, what emerges is not a piece of software in the traditional sense. It is a massive file containing billions or trillions of numerical parameters, the accumulated result of weeks or months of computation.
That file then gets deployed to a different set of infrastructure, inference servers, which are optimized not for training, but for answering questions quickly and efficiently, often at a fraction of the power cost of training hardware. The raw material, electricity and silicon, has been transformed into something that can compose text, analyze images, write code, and converse in dozens of languages. It began as copper in a Chilean mine and rare earth metals extracted from deposits in China and Africa.
It passed through foundries in Taiwan, assembly plants in Malaysia, logistics hubs in California, and landed in a building somewhere in Virginia, or Oregon, or Texas. And the output flows back out through undersea cables and terrestrial fiber to phones and laptops and servers all over the planet. The next time a response appears on your screen in a fraction of a second, you will know what made it possible. The infrastructure powering artificial intelligence is one of the largest coordinated engineering undertakings in human history, and it is still in its early stages.
The facilities being built today will be dwarfed by the ones being planned for the end of this decade. Nuclear power agreements are being signed specifically to fuel them. New chip architectures are being designed specifically to fit inside them, and new cooling technologies are being developed specifically to keep them running. We are building the nervous system of a new kind of intelligence, one rack at a time, in buildings that most people will never see.
What should we explore next? Is it the semiconductor fabs where these chips are born, or the undersea cable systems that connect it all together? Let us know in the comments below. And if this video gave you a new way of seeing the technology around you, a like and a subscription means more stories like this one keep coming.